50 seconds of logos, including this boy landing on the moon and then that moon apparating to a different point in the sky. Also Comcast. Just a small point, but since Great Britain doesn't have a football team outside of the Olympics, this should really be the English national flag. And everyone knows that's a well-buttered crumpet flanked by 2 cups of tea and not this nonsense. Also, World Cup final. The only time England was in the World Cup final was in 1966. So either this Jumbotron is widely anachronistic, or someone has grossly overestimated the quality of English football in hopes it would change history. Worked for Fever Bitch, I guess.
Traveller's checks, passport.
Do you have the tickets, darling?
Mid-aughts computer-generated animated film. Avoid showing human faces because faces are hard, okay? Cliché. Also, and I cannot say this firmly enough, the fact that Aardman decided to go CG instead of stop motion for this movie is unforgivable. You were the chosen one, Aardmanigan! Between the fancy bed, the violin, and the rat cage that's fancier than 95% of the places I've ever lived, this is an absolute orgy of evidence that we're currently in a rich kid's bedroom.
We'll be back in a few days, so here's enough food for you.
Were the 2 full canisters of, I'm going to say, Necco wafers and brown Necco wafers not enough? Wallace-less grommets. Also, I know you can be rich enough to own 2 of everything, but I don't think that's why I'm seeing 2 of this monkey, this cat, this rabbit, and 2 f***ing Ben Stillers over here. Choosing Elvis over Wolverine. This DVD collection goes from actual DreamWorks self-fellatio to parody titles instead of staying consistent and taking some time to think up parody titles for the DreamWorks flicks as well. How hard is it to come up with Drek instead of Shrek? Also, what kind of order are these DVDs even sorted in? This is just chaos. Also, is that The Last Castle? The Last Castle? Chris, weren't you in that movie?
Yep, one of the most terrible experiences of my life.
Chris exists in the Flushed Away universe and the movie doesn't even acknowledge it. Okay, so this is a clear photo of Wendelin from Wallace and Gromit, a close shave. And while I'm not disputing that this could all be a shared universe and Wendy is Tabitha's aunt or something, I am confused by the presence of a Curse of the Were-Rabbit DVD over here. Surely that means the other Wallace and Gromit movies exist as well, right? Is Aunt Wendy famous? This home entertainment setup from 2006 is A, entirely wireless, B, built with all the cables in the wall in such a way that you can't see or access them, C, using some form of cloaking technology from Star Trek, or D, animated by people who somehow didn't anticipate this level of nitpicking by a YouTube channel 17 years later. I bet it's C. Sleeping in a tuxedo like some sort of psychopath.
I think there's someone in the house. Sarge, wake up!
Does he actually think they're alive? I figured he was just goofing around out of boredom, but why would he play around like this if he thinks there's a chance the house is being broken into? Why would a family that's going on holiday leave an entire jam roly-poly on the counter? It just doesn't. There's an entire goddamn cake, too? This is not the kitchen of a family that's flying away on vacation for any amount. Is that a plate full of sausages? Who leaves cooked meat on the counter overnight, even if you... Is that an open carton of milk? Well, at least there's no doubt we're in a DreamWorks movie.
They do not, repeat not, have food like this in a sewer.
My God, it looks like someone took the "you sound like you're from London" line and made it into a just barely feature-length movie.
It's the match of the century.
Which, considering this is only 2006, isn't as impressive a claim as it sounds. Also, fortunately, for expositional purposes, Sid turns on the TV right at the start of this announcement, and not in the middle of a show about the Queen or a commercial for tea.
Live this Sunday.
I'm not one for throwing sausages at televisions, but I feel like these have either been marinated in superglue or the laws of physics are not being respected here.
No, not believe it. Have mercy. No, I can't swim.
But you are currently swimming. As Roddy is flushed away to the tune of Are You Gonna Be My Girl by Jet, I am once again left befuddled by movies that choose songs apparently at random. Now, it's a perfectly fine song, but what the f*** has it got to do with what's going on right now? I mean, that's just poor pipe installation right there.
Have you seen my dad?
Okay, that egg wasn't even yours to Easter.
Oh no, I can't swim. I can't swim. I can't swim.
Falling from this height into this depth of water and somehow not only surviving, but not knowing how deep the water is. The screaming slug is hilarious, but why is it running toward the thing that's making it scream? Fine, I'll suspend my disbelief about the sewer world's fully functioning societal construct and unending ability to find raw materials, but I am drawing the line at curved, electrically powered screens. A man must have principles.
Is that guy wearing my underpants?
It appears he is, but the more important question is how did he manage to fly into them so perfectly?
Make him move, honey.
Boy, you got a face like a frying pan.
Go ahead and make fun of Americans. We totally deserve it. But are we suggesting that these two have traveled from the American sewers to the English sewers for vacation? How? And why?
There's one person round here might be able to help you. The captain of the Jammy Dodger.
Fortunately for this movie's 76-minute runtime, this random food vendor knows exactly the person Roddy needs to find to get out of there.
I know where it is.
Ha ha! The dead fish isn't actually dead, but why? How is it not burning alive? How have they managed to isolate that part of the iron? And why? And how? But also, and why?
Thanks for bringing me this far.
You're welcome.
Why does speaking into the bottle echo his voice around the cave? Wouldn't that only work if the end had been cut off? Really started to think someone is relying far too heavily on cartoon physics for their comedy. I'm taking a sit off for the running gag with the slugs, and you can't stop me. I mean, I can't stop. I mean, you can't stop me not stopping me. I mean, it. I shall not be stopped! But also, why aren't they afraid of Roddy anymore? They were screaming at him a few minutes ago, and nothing's really changed except them wanting to be a part of the story now. All I really want to know is where Rita found Luke Skywalker's hand and how she's pulling off these highly dexterous shenanigans with what looks like just a pencil for a joystick.
All right, all right. Quiet as a mouse.
Roddy will continue to lean on this horn, despite it being horrifically loud and for no reason other than the movie thinks it's funny to make our hero a dumbass until it needs him to be smart.
Oh, sorry.
Ah!
Sorry. Sorry.
This movie has 100 jokes in it, 95 of them are animated critters being caused physical pain.
Let me go, you pink-eyed freak!
That's conjunctivitis.
Hey! You get your filthy paws off my stuff!
Female character has an embarrassing diary cliche. You tell me with confidence that the movie would have pulled this gag with a male captain and I will call you a liar.
Oh, I know where it is. I know where it is.
Making assumptions. But also, our pocket's not at the very top of the check for Ruby list.
Look at the bottom. I mean, is it me or is it oddly shaped?
You little snitch.
What the f*** does she expect? Mere seconds ago, she made up some shit about him being a jewel thief to save her life at the expense of his intangibles getting crushed. Of course, he's going to give up her crown jewels to save his.
I just want to get home to Kensington.
And I'm telling you the exact location of where I'm going so that your familiarity with it can progress the plot.
He's a madman. Run away. Run!
I'm sorry, I have so many questions about this. He snagged that fly over 2 full minutes ago. How is it still alive and in his mouth? How has his speech not been affected by a live fly just hanging out on his tongue? How did the fly generate enough power to drag the tongue out like this? Why didn't he try and escape sooner? Why is he more concerned with Roddy's well-being than his own? I swear if this is all just a setup for another clunky pun, I will...
Pardon me. My fly's undone.
Oh, for f***'s sake! This segment where this bobblehead of the then Prince Charles sets off a domino effect that destroys the monarchy collection, eventually ending in the destruction of a queen, is a brilliant social commentary on the fragility and ridiculousness of modern royalty. And if I thought for 1 second that this movie intended any of that, I'd remove a sin instead of adding these 5. Keeping a collection and display of all your murders.
Put your hands together.
Wanting someone to give you a boost and choosing to say, put your hands together, instead of, please give me a boost. Can we talk about the engineering design of this master cable? So it controls all of the electricity for this complex and it's somehow designed to be easily removed while connecting ports a mere 2 inches from each other? How is this not an internal connection? Or at least have a cover?
Quite high, rather high, so very, very high.
My response when someone asks me how high I have to be to get through sinning the fast movies somehow makes it into this script.
Yeah, cool.
This fits.
Please be careful. That ruby means a lot to me.
Well, and why did you f***ing charge at him the second you saw it fall into his shirt? Okay, she probably wasn't expecting it to launch itself 30 feet in the air, but you'd think she'd want to avoid doing something that has a risk of pushing him and it overboard.
Roddy St. James saves the day.
Teaching kids that the correct response to someone pissing you off is punching them down a ladder.
Go and take a tomato with a wonton.
No crayons.
No wonton. You want rice?
What the hell's going on here? Either this is a rodent-run Chinese takeout that sells chicken chow mein, or this is a human talking to Roddy, which means that the humans and rats can understand each other and sentient animals are just kept in cages as pets. How the f*** are either of those things possible?
How do I know this ain't just a load of old rubbish?
Well, I suppose you'll just have to trust me.
And she does! He promises her a ton of jewels if she helps him get home, and she believes him! Okay, she has limited options, but this is a big risk with no guarantee of a payoff coming from a scruffy guy she's known for a few hours that caused her nothing but calamity. We're nearing almost Martha levels of unearned truces here.
All right, you got yourself a deal.
Choosing the most boring way possible to swap spit.
Did you find it?
We got most of it, boss.
Forget the ruby! It's the master cable that I want.
But you didn't f***ing tell them that. They had no idea that you wanted the cable back. It's amazing how many villains would have higher success rate if they didn't have an audience to surprise. I was about to praise this newspaper for actually having a non-copy and paste article that actually matches the headline. That is until I realized it's describing the events of Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which, as previously mentioned, exists as a movie in this universe. Okay, maybe this movie is a dramatization of events that actually happened and were reported in this newspaper, but you and I both know it's actually just another f***ing ill-thought-out Easter egg.
They call me Shocky.
And why do they call you that?
Kids.
Whoa, she's a lady.
Here we have an Australian actor doing an impression of an English rat doing an impression of a Welsh singer, and I just think we'll never be able to appreciate Hugh Jackman enough to offset the shit we put him through.
And the lady wears big undies.
Yeah, the movie likes its underwear humor, but just as a matter of record, does this mean Grandma is now Donald Ducking it at the dinner table? I'm all for body positivity and personal freedom, but that's just not great dining etiquette.
I've met one of your lot before. Used to be some old lady's pet.
That's nice.
Terribly lonely for him, though. Well, that's no life, is it?
Fortunately for Roddy, Rita's mom has met someone who mirrors Roddy's experience, and this enables her to share how miserable this person was, and that the true meaning of Christmas is to never be happy with your own company and to make sure you're never alone, whatever the cost. Did I start this sin with fortunately?
So, I hand Roddy over to the Toad and claim the reward, then we're all sitting pretty for the rest of our lives.
Rita doesn't agree with this plan, but is, of course, talking about it in the most incriminating way possible so that an eavesdropping Roddy misunderstands and runs away. Look, I know movies got a conflict, but since they make up in about 5 minutes, what was the f***ing point? Why can't we just get along?
Listen, you. If you're still there when I get back.
Did that belt blow his hair back through the phone? I get that we aren't within physics zip code here, but could we at least be within its galaxy? We can't play the song that the slugs are singing, and so instead I'll take this opportunity, totally unrelated, of course, to talk about the old-fashioned idea that no dialogue or scene should exist if it isn't furthering the story in some way.
I've had a tip-off. They're heading west to Kensington.
And since we never find out where this tip-off came from, I'm forced to diagnose this as an excessive use of plot propellant and recommend a full movie clichectomy.
We can fix it. Yes, we can.
Plagiarizing Bob the Builder.
How did you think I'd sell you out?
Because you've only just f***ing met, and he literally heard you say you were going to sell him out.
This is such an overreaction.
Roddy would be a stop-motion version of this film at CinemaSins. As Rodentia Ratiti serenades Rita Oro with an apology song for something he doesn't need to apologize for, I have to wonder when he had time to rehearse this with Sluggle Mix here.
Here they are! Don't get 'em, lads!
If Spike didn't know exactly where Roddy and Rita were going to be, how were his goons already here and waiting to jump out of the pipes? Toaster in the water, electricity, it all adds up. Except for that last part about where it's plugged in and why it would float and how the f*** he wrote it here in the first place.
Wait for it, wait for it.
What exactly was she waiting for? I was expecting the sudden acceleration to throw the chasing rats off balance, but since it has no effect on them at all this did was decrease Rita and Roddy's lead and create some artificial tension that I will now apologize for shattering.
Go, go, purple custard!
This custard is neither purple nor is it go-going in a way that instant custard has ever gone.
Hang on tight!
Stealing the NOS button from the Fast movies. Actually, stealing anything from the Fast movies.
Could you fly quite suddenly off the boat screaming like a girl?
Interesting choice for the movie, with a strong female lead to reinforce this outdated and pretty insulting gender stereotype. And by interesting, I mean f***ing dumb.
Oh, please. Not the scrapbook again.
Thinking that having a character point out how annoying and forced your expositional backstory is will keep us from sinning how annoying and forced your expositional backstory is. Based on Charles's boyish appearance, I think it's safe to assume this picture was taken at least somewhere close to 1964. Making Gad off the green here somewhere in the region of 42 years old, considerably older than your average or even any frog.
We would frolic day after sunny day in royal abandon.
The Crown has not done a season on this important royal storyline. Holy alcohol poisoning, Batman! This bottle of wine is 40% alcohol! Who makes a wine that's 40%?
You find my pain funny?
I wish.
You know everything about me, warts and all.
Sharing your social hygiene situation this quickly. What are these frogs at the top of the screen even attached to? The ceiling is way up here. Are their delicious legs 15 feet long?
Well done, Le Frog.
Think back to 2006 and ask yourself how many cell phone video calls you saw happening. Very fucking few is the answer, because they were ridiculously expensive. Most phones couldn't do it, and the ones that could were nowhere near the quality we're seeing here. It is some bullshit that Frognito over here lucked into two of the things being discarded into his domain.
What do you want it for, anyway?
Oh, you'll see. Come the World Cup final this afternoon.
Why doesn't he just say it powers his microwave, wine cooler, or the life support system of his sick old grandmother? There's no reason for him to give a hint about his evil plan that will later allow Roddy to foil the whole damn thing. giving someone a tongue lashing despite them clearly indicating to hold your tongue. These slugs clearly took classes at imitating Michael Winslow making sound effects in the movie Police Academy. Academy. I know we've covered this, but it really is wild that this lever acts as some kind of psychic link that allows the MacGyver hand to do whatever the operator needs it to.
Goodbye, Jammy, me old mate.
We would have sinned it, but it's still a crime that they missed the opportunity to do a Terminator gives the thumbs up while sinking in lava here.
Inverness Gardens, Vicarage Gate, Kensington High Street.
For a rat who lives in a cage, Roddy has an incredible working knowledge of London from above.
Try and go left.
If you try hard enough, the wind will obey your every whim.
As promised, the Kensington Jewels.
Remember that part where it was hilarious because people mistook you for a notorious jewel thief? Yeah? Well, congratulations, you actually are one now, you thieving rat bastard.
And maybe this could be the Jammy Dodger Mark II.
I mean, that's very generous, but there's not a lot of room on that thing. And do emeralds even float? How is this remote control car drivable like an actual vehicle? And why? And how? And why?
What a loser!
Plagiarizing Ace Ventura? Poorly.
It's a palace. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want to.
Whoa, settle down there, Roddy. I know you're feeling upset about Rita calling you out on your loneliness, but despite all your rage, you're still just a rat in a cage. I'm choosing to believe that this book is a copy of Cracking Animation, which is a stop-motion holy text, and that at least someone behind the scenes slipped it in as a you to this movie being CGI. It wouldn't have taken a genius to realize this movie would be 1,000 times more endearing if it was stop motion. Come on, it's not odd, man. Instead of worrying about how the they're going to get home, the three slugs airdrop themselves in to pile on about how miserable Roddy is through the medium of ripping off a song about soldiers in Vietnam. The hell are these four defenders doing? I know nothing about foots or balls, but I know that the prancing quartet defense is not a real thing.
What did you say?
Oh, the bathroom. I'm waiting. Look, till half-time.
Half-time? He's waiting till half-time.
Oh, poppycock and horseradish. Was that enough to trigger Roddy's memory? The movie didn't give us a single inkling that Roddy or Rita even gave a shit about what Gus the theater frog was up to until Roddy spontaneously beautiful minds his way to an epiphany here. This is so convenient I wouldn't be surprised if Roddy went on to be that f***ing rat in Endgame.
I've got Rita, boss! I've got Rita!
But how, I say? How? How did they know where the hell she was or when she was getting back to the sewers? Why build up Rita only to make her the damsel in distress in the finale? And how? And why? These two characters aren't voiced by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Rita!
If one balloon was enough to carry Roddy up here, then why aren't three of them carrying this guy away too? In fact, if they're that strong, who the f*** is buying them? Airlines? Semi-automatic staplers. Well, that was convenient.
I'll be the one laughing when every last revolting rat is flushed away.
Ribbits. Haha, we've got frogs literally leapfrogging, but this has got to be one of the dumbest ways that they could have chosen to attack Rita and Roddy. They're supposed to want to win, right?
Come and get me, you big slimy airbag!
Roddy, look out!
I'm sorry, movie, but you can't have it both ways. Roddy can either be the clumsy rat bastard that leaned on this horn and was thrown overboard by a bucket, or he's the rat-acrobatic genius that figures out how to save the day and pulls off this trick. You can't be both Pinky and the Brain.
Goodbye, rat!
Why is this supposed to worry me when I've already seen characters fall from far greater heights onto far less fluid surfaces?
Please work, please work, please work!
This does indeed work. So this asshole right here spotted the wave before anyone else had time to go home, get changed, and come back with his surfboard? I mean, yeah, screw warning your friends and family because surf's up, dude! I'd usually spend my time pointing things out on this newspaper, like that several of these articles come from Toronto for some reason, but I'm too distracted by the fucking slugs playing soccer and the newspaper's photo. What in the name of my Harry Potter is going on here? And why? And how? Just had to squeeze one last stereotype in there, didn't we? Couldn't have the Irish feeling left out, now could we? This movie is 76 minutes long!
When someone dunks your head in the toilet and then flushes it on your face. Totally rocks your world, but not in the good way.
It's a lunchbox. We've got a lunchbox here.
A lunchbox?
Quiet as a mouse.
I know the smell of your adamantium from a mile away.
I didn't come here to fight you.
Smart boy.
That ruby means a lot to me. It's priceless.
Hold on.
It's a fake.
All right. You got yourself a deal. Go on.
Spit like a man.
I have triumphed, you stupid English.
Go and boil your bottom, sons of a silly person.
Goodbye, Jammy, me old mate.
A genuine star-cut ruby.
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls.
Shall not pass!
Where are we going?
Second start of the ride, and straight on till morning.